All right, Nitro then. This show may still be going on as we're talking here. Number 118, also December 15th, 1997.
By the way, Larry Zbyszko is back. Last week he wasn't there because he was training for his big match.
Yeah.
Now it's a week sooner, and he's there.
Yes. He still hasn't had the big match.
Well, Craig, if you'd ever trained for a big match, you know that sometimes to avoid overtraining, you've got to back off a little bit.
Do you really believe what you're saying right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true. Dude, you know how many times Dave has told the story about how before Frank Shamrock had his match with Tito Ortiz, one day, like a week and a half before, they went to the beach for 3 days, and Dave couldn't figure out why. And Frank told him, I was close to overtraining. I got to back off for a few days. And they went to the beach.
But Larry came to work.
Larry here is Frank Shamrock.
Wow.
I'll get to that later.
Okay.
I got more.
I can't wait. The announcers ran down the show for several minutes, and the NWO came out for a promo.
The whole NWO.
85 minutes.
Well, minus Kevin
Masa
Nash.
Chono was there.
He identified Masahiro Chono, said, Masahiro Chono, why don't you cut a promo in Japanese? And he cut a promo in Japanese. And they say, way to go, Masahiro Chono.
This was clearly a 3-hour show.
Kurt Hennig cuts a promo on Ric Flair.
3 hours, what should we do? Let's have Chono speak.
Just because they're in charge.
He doesn't speak English. I don't care.
Yeah.
Talk anyway.
He vowed to retire Flair at Starrcade. Hogan ran down Sting for a while, dared him to come fight tonight, and that was that. This accomplished nothing.
Oh, yeah. You know what's weird about it, too? Is Hogan's promo challenging Sting was such an absolutely nothing promo.
Yes.
And they still did, like, their most buys ever.
They had to kill time. So Hogan cut a promo at the end, and it was nothing.
No, we'll talk about killing time here in a little while.
Okay.
The NWO did a hype video running down Larry Zbyszko. And they ran a second completely separate hype video running down the Steiners. They recapped Flair running down Bret Hart last week. At this point, I asked, is there any wrestling on the show? Boy, did I learn my lesson.
Yeah, don't do that
Don't
again.
ever ask for any wrestling on the show, because I got Vincent versus Ray Traylor.
Hey, listen. Whatever I said about Hawk, I apologize.
He was better than Vincent.
And see, the thing was, I watched Nitro first this week. I normally watch Nitro second, but because it's 3 hours, I got to watch it first now. So I had not watched Hawk yet. But had I watched Hawk first, boy, oh boy, Vincent is the worst wrestler. Like, it's got to be the worst wrestler ever.
He's
leaps
way
and
up there.
bounds.
Not only was he horrible, but like, he couldn't even go up for anything.
No.
Right? Let me tell you why I'm sure he's the worst wrestler of all time. He did a jumping axe handle, a double sledge.
That's right.
Let me explain this, everybody. You jump in the air with your hands clasped together. You strike a man. That's it. Am I
Right.
missing anything?
No, you have
All right.
gotten all details.
This fucking guy, there's a point to jumping. You jump so that when you land, there's a... And that's the moment where your hands hit the guy's back.
Correct.
This motherfucker jumps in the air, and on the way down, he hits Ray Traylor before his feet make contact. Stiffest fucking double sledge you've ever seen. And he knocks himself off balance by hitting the guy before his feet hit the ground. He can't go up for anything. He couldn't go up for a body slam. He couldn't go up for the fucking Ray Traylor, the Trailer Park Slam, they're calling it.
Trailer trash.
Dead weighted him on every single move. And of course, you dead weight Ray Traylor just slams you on your ass as hard as he can. He doesn't care. This was like the worst. This was worse than any Bariquas match. This was worse than any match on Nitro. This was worse than any match in TNA, with the exception of the Survivor chick. This was worse than any match I've seen this year. This was atrocious beyond description.
All this in 1 minute and 51 seconds.
We spent way more time talking about this match than it actually happened, but we were also way more entertaining than this match. We had a giant Kevin Nash video package, at which point Tony Schiavone, who got into this calling a legit sport in baseball, said with a straight face, "These are the two biggest men in the history of the sport."
Yeah.
Liar. You are a liar. Yuji Nagata versus Disco Inferno.
Listen, I hope you guys saw on the board that I was right about Disco Inferno. He has been a serious wrestler more often than not.
I noticed it in this match, Brian.
And he was again here. He had a serious match. Even though he had Shake Your Booty on his ass, he had a serious match with Yuji Nagata. And beat him.
What I love is he's been doing the stunner for a while now. So he hits Sonny Ono with a stunner first. Then when it's time to finish off Yuji, first he sets him up with the stun gun.
Yeah.
Which is stunning Steve Austin's finisher. Then he hits the stunner and wins. I imagine the Thez Press and the $1 Million Dream are coming.
He is now 2-0 in his title reign. There was one something or other. Right before the finish, Disco wants to give him an Irish whip. Yuji Nagata does not want to be whipped into the ropes. And he grabs the ropes and he holds on for dear life. And there's a long struggle. And then finally, Disco wins. I don't know what happened.
How about the capo kick that Nagata hit on Disco?
Yeah. It's a great match.
Ow. He killed him with it.
You know what was a great match?
Really? I was disappointed.
Fit Finlay and Dean Malenko?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it was good. I saw these two men get in the ring, and I just sat back and I cracked my knuckles, got some popcorn.
I have never said this before in my life, what I'm about to say, but I mean this. Everyone needs to go to the network, queue up this match, just to see these men do snapmares. They were so awesome. You can have your super kicks and your 450s. Just show me two guys doing wrestling that looks real. I'm excited. Eddie Guerrero was on commentary, writing down Dean, says it's very boring to travel with him.
Third week in a row he's been on commentary during Dean matches?
Something like that, yes.
3 or 4.
He begins to make his way down to ringside. Dean spies him coming in, but this distracts him, and Finlay drops him from behind, hits a tombstone for the win.
It was pretty good.
I liked it a lot.
It was not nearly as good as the next match.
This match was fun.
The NWO did a video writing down Roddy Piper, and then La Parka and Psychosis versus Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera.
You know what's so awesome about this match? They did an old school Southern style
Exactly.
professional wrestling
This
match
is four luchadors.
with crazy lucha moves.
This is four luchadors doing an impression of a U.S. style tag match.
It was great.
A lot of the time was clunky, a lot of the time was great. The coolest thing they did, one of the coolest things I've ever seen, Juventud's finisher is the Juvi driver. It's a Michinoku driver. Psychosis says, I'm going to one-up this fucker. I'm going to hit him with his own move, and we're going to do it from the top rope. So he takes him up there. He's standing on the top rope with Juvi in body slam position. And he jumps, and in midair, Juvi rotates both of them so they land with Juvi hitting the Michinoku driver. That was so awesome.
Psychosis is a huge man compared to Hoovy.
Yes. And 10 seconds later, he was on his feet on offense again.
It's true.
Well,
That
things
annoyed me.
happen. I just loved it was Juvi making a hot tag. Ray makes an old school babyface comeback. The heels are bumbling idiots. They
Yes.
run into each other. Big babyface dives to the outside. And finally, Ray does a springboard Hurricane Rana on Parka outside, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And Juvi hits a 450 in the ring on Psychosis for the pin. If they would have done this match like at house shows for
Oh,
2
jeez.
months,
Yeah.
they would have showed up on pay-per-view and had the best match in history.
True. That's a good point. Yeah, it was funny because during the heat portion of this imitation of a tag match, like I say, it was really, really clunky and really flat, but that just set up Ray and Juvi running wild with every acrobatic move you've ever seen, and the crowd went ballistic.
I loved this match.
Even Juventud looked good in this match.
Absolutely.
He was a great Ricky
You know
Morton.
what? In
Yeah.
this match, he may have been the best guy. In this match.
Okay.
For this
I
8
don't know if
minutes,
I'd go that
whatever it
far.
went.
I thought Ray was spectacular.
Dude, Ray was awesome. La Parka was awesome. I was so mad La Parka was being La Parka and they kept missing it on camera.
Yeah.
You could just hear him being La Parka in the background.
Gene Okerlund is in the ring with Doug Dillinger and some police dignitaries.
I will let you talk about what everybody said, but I just want you all, as you listen to this, to realize that what happened was Ric Flair was very calm and quiet and dignified when the policemen were there.
Right.
And as soon as they left, he went nuts.
All bets were off.
That is a fact. That's a fact. So Flair and Arn are out there, and it's in Charlotte. And Flair, I don't want... You know when they say be yourself with the volume turned up to 11? I don't want to see he had the volume turned down, but it was like a 8.5. He was still very loud and charismatic, but he was also sane.
The authorities were there.
He didn't want to get in trouble. So the thing to all this was, the city of Charlotte had erected a tribute to slain police officers, and on behalf of WCW, Flair was there to present them with a check for $15,000. So this is all very nice. And they said, thank you, we're all honored to have you here in Charlotte. And they go to leave, and Flair watches them go.
Yeah.
And he's
like, are they far enough away
He
yet?
makes sure that he's safe. And he goes just crazy Flair for a minute. And I don't even know what he said, but it was awesome.
I know what he said. He vowed that the NWO would not beat him up in Charlotte tonight. And I thought, you damn fool.
Yeah. Okerlund interviewed J.J. Dillon.
This was so dumb.
Yeah.
This should have been on Raw.
Bischoff immediately interrupted. Says, I never claimed to be a wrestler. But Larry Zbyszko, not only is he a wrestler, he's a former world champion. He outweighs me by 60 pounds. I can't wrestle this man. I will only go into this fight if punches, kicks, and knockouts count.
Yeah.
Like in a regular match.
Like in every other match that has ever been held in the history of WCW Monday Nitro.
Well, I will say, to be fair, you're not supposed to punch people in a wrestling match.
I'll give you that. But kicks and knockouts?
Yeah, I've seen punches in every match I've ever seen, pretty much. I've seen kicks in pretty much every match I've ever seen. Now, I will say I've never seen a man formally win by knockout. And Larry did add he wanted to clear kicks to the head are legal whether your opponent is grounded or not.
Well, technically,
UFC?
I think technically when Stone Cold gives you a stunner, you're knocked out. He just makes sure to pin you first.
Yes.
He could just stand there and get a standing 10 count.
I see.
He's paid by the hour, apparently.
Yeah. So anyway, JJ agreed with all these rules, and Bischoff was pleased. The best part is Larry's on commentary. He's also pleased.
Well,
now I can punch him.
There's more. So JJ says, Eric, I know you have a martial arts background, and Larry has a wrestling background. Which at that point, I howled that they're not acknowledging Larry Zbyszko's martial arts experience that he talks about on every fucking show. So JJ says, as long as you agree that submissions are allowed in this wrestling match, I'll go along with your rules. So they all agreed, and those are the rules. It's a wrestling match where submissions, knockouts, kicks, and punches are legal.
They count.
Unlike everything else at Starrcade, apparently.
Was this part of your killing time argument?
No, but the second time these fuckers came out, I was fixing to get mad, and then Brett showed up.
Scott Hall came out for a promo. He did a survey. They were in Flair country, so the people were in fact there to see WCW. Hall pretended the cheers were so loud they hurt his ears. He claimed the NWO won anyway. That was it. They went to commercial. Chris Jericho versus Scott Hall. I had forgotten how often Scott Hall used chokeslams in WCW. I know he was making fun of the Giant, but it was still awesome.
Good chokeslam.
He chokeslammed the hell out of Jericho, did that weird pose where he makes fun of the Giant for being tall.
That's called the baby learning to walk pose.
Sure.
I thought he was doing the Frankenstein walk.
Yeah. Well, if you think about
It's
it,
all the same thing.
Frankenstein was a baby when he was learning to walk. Just a
That's how babies walk.
Yeah, just a
they put
baby.
their arms out like this, and they kind of waddle back and forth like a mummy.
Frankenstein was never a baby, Vince.
No, but he was a... He was.
He was a grown baby.
He was 2 days old. He was a baby composed of the parts of
Frankenstein's
men.
monster, thank you.
I was not going to bring that up. I was what he did last time.
I gotcha.
He's right. It was Frankenstein's monster.
Dork alert.
Victor Frankenstein was the doctor who put the monster together.
I'm just amazed I got him this time.
Yeah.
Usually he has to get me.
It's true.
Really, it was just the one time.
Yeah, but it's the most recent.
This is going to make
Years ago.
this little interaction is going to make a great song one day.
Anyway, Hall had a chokeslam and the Outsider's Edge for the win.
Then I got mad.
Did you?
Yeah.
The Nitro Party?
No. Mongo.
We'll get to
Yeah.
Mongo. There was a Nitro Party clips, and I mentioned this because all these other Nitro Parties have been so goddamn lame. Mm-hmm. This one looked like fun. They rented like a college classroom, so they had the big screen TV up front and arena seating. Everyone could sit there and cheer, and they had legit dancing girls there. This looked like a cool party.
I sent that video in.
NWA, you never went to college. NWA had an
I
anti-giant
rented a room
video.
at Shoreline in the karate wing.
All right, we got Ming versus Mongo. Brian, the floor is yours.
Oh, he didn't get Ming versus Mongo.
Oh.
We were supposed to get Ming versus Mongo, but Goldberg
Bastard.
killed Mongo. And so JJ is furious, much like I was. I wanted to see Ming versus Mongo. And so then JJ says, Goldberg, you killed Mongo, therefore you must face Ming. And I was like, finally, this fucker made a good ruling. So Goldberg doesn't give a shit. He's like, I'll go kill this guy. And Goldberg starts going down to the ring. And before he can get there, Mongo is alive again, like Frankenstein's monster. And he lurches down the aisle. He attacks Goldberg. A bunch of geeks wearing WCW security jean jackets come out and break this up.
Nothing says authority like denim.
And we never got to see Ming versus Goldberg. Damn it.
Oh, the tease.
That was 2 Ming matches I really wanted to see, and I got neither of them.
I'm sure it's coming down the road.
Like JJ couldn't find a third geek to go face Ming. Come on. It's 3 hours.
Conan and Scott Norton versus the Steiners.
Oh, my.
Well, we knew it was coming.
This is a car wreck.
Scott Steiner was massive.
I hope
Just
that's not what you got out
shaking.
of this match.
No, not by the end. So he's press slamming dudes and suplexing them all over the place. And then Scott Norton's in there with Rick. And he goes for a power slam that went as wrong as a power slam ever could. This is the one, because I was watching this Sunday night. It was at your house. And you and Whitney are having a conversation. I'm over on the couch minding my own business. And out of nowhere, I just shrieked. That was right here when Rick Steiner died. Now, some of you are saying, Vince, Rick is alive. No, Rick's dead.
It was really weird because it was almost like Rick went thinking he was going to get power slammed, and Scott Norton went in thinking, I'm going to take a crossbody. Now, why Rick Steiner would do a crossbody is anybody's guess. But basically, Scott Norton just fell on his back, and then Rick spiked himself onto his own head, trying to turn himself over for a power slam that didn't exist. And the craziest thing about it was, if this happened to anybody else in any other match, number one, they would be dead. And number two, if they weren't dead, they would go tag out.
Right.
Not Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner shook his head back and forth to make sure that his head was still attached, and he just kept going. He just stayed in the ring.
Have you seen the video footage of Hideo Itami getting power slammed on his head? It wasn't quite that bad, but it was pretty close.
I don't know. This may have been worse.
Well, Steiner is also twice a Tommy's size.
Exactly.
That's more weight to fall on your neck.
Luckily,
but
he
also a
has no
stronger neck.
So he died here. His corpse no-sold everything. And his zombie began to run around the ring, hitting dives of all things. And eventually, Norton killed him with the shoulder breaker. There was a 4-way, and then after all this, Vincent just interferes for the DQ. Because God forbid that Scott Norton and Conan lose a match.
Here's what I couldn't figure out. Vincent runs in for the DQ, and Ray Traylor makes the save.
Yeah.
Well, he beat him earlier.
Shouldn't have been the other way around? Like, you do this match, and then later in the show, you do Ray Traylor versus Vincent?
Absolutely.
Did they, put the thing together and just go, no, Ray Traylor and Vincent should be the opener. That's a hot match.
I assume it's all going to be a 6-man.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Scott Norton, Conan, and Vincent versus Ray Traylor, Scott Steiner, and Rick Steiner's ghost. Because Rick Steiner's dead.
You know what else?
Horrible.
You know what else was notable? When Scott Norton killed Rick Steiner, neither Steiner went to get a receipt on Scott Norton.
Well,
Just the cost of doing business.
well, why would you?
Well, I think it must have been either Rick fucked up or the Steiners had just so much great respect for Scott Norton that it was like,
It happens.
shit happens.
Shit happens.
When you're big and strong, sometimes you drop someone on their head.
That's the worst fortune cookie I've ever heard.
I mean, can you imagine if Vincent would have dropped Rick Steiner on his neck?
He
He would not be at conferences right
they'd
now.
have drawn and quartered him in the ring.
Goddamn wrestling superstar Virgil.
He just grabbed his ankles and grabbed his wrist and just yanked them all off.
Then they replayed the power slam like 3 times. At least they got the most out of it.
Booker T versus Randy Savage. We had Booker running wild for a while. Savage cut him off, threw him into furniture, and vice versa, threw furniture into him. A fan tried to hit the ring here, was immediately taken out by security. I was bummed because Savage threw some kicks at him, but never really landed a good shot.
Well, let's think about this very quickly. First off, this fan
Idiot.
was so angry about a competitive match between Randy Savage and Booker T that he decided he needed to hit the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the other thing to think about is, he thought it was a good idea to hit the ring with Randy Savage in
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah. Well, this is why I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought Randy might have killed this guy like Norton killed Rick.
What a first-class moron.
Yeah. Alcohol is a powerful thing.
Did you notice there was another fan hitting the ring later in the show?
There were two later.
Yeah.
Actually, 3, because there was one, it was off camera, but you could see security subduing a man after the pair hit.
Yes.
So, coincidence or not, after this fan hit the ring, we immediately got our finish. The ref got bumped in a bad-looking spot. Booker went up top. Liz grabbed him. Savage knocked him to the floor, waffled him with a plastic chair, threw him in, and hit the elbow for the win. Chris Benoit versus Scotty Riggs. 4th week in a row that was supposed to be Benoit versus Raven, and Raven sent in a flunky instead.
Raven's still sick, Brian? It's been a month.
Well, he was sick last week. Maybe they just thought it was a good storyline.
So this is not a total squash like most of these have been. They went back and forth the whole way. And Benoit won with a crossface out of nowhere.
There's a glorious beating.
Yeah, that is true.
Every week.
That is right. This was more back and forth than most Benoit flock matches, but Scotty still took a hellacious beating. So Benoit wins the crossface out of nowhere, starts to cut a promo on the flock, goes after them. Even without Raven, there's still 6 dudes there, and they overwhelmed him and laid him out.
Okay. They've been doing such a good job in this feud getting Benoit over for Raven. But boy, did they make him look like an absolute idiot here. When he destroys the guy and then voluntarily jumps over the rail into the flock and they beat his ass. It's like, could you be dumber?
Notice that Scotty Riggs has been wearing an eye patch because of the whole incident with the chair and Raven.
Yes.
And not only does he wear the eye patch, but he puts one of these contacts in as well.
Yes, the eye patch gets ripped off and we see his contact eye.
Completely white eye,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, don't mess around with chairs, Craig.
Duly noted.
Now listen, I'm not a music guy.
No.
I'm not.
Huh.
Did Billy Idol have a gimmick where he carried signs around?
No.
What the hell is with Idol and his damn signs?
Because they were watching ECW, and of all the things to steal, they said, we need a guy with signs.
And they gave it to Lodi.
Yeah.
You know, I found
Yes.
Lodi's Facebook the other day.
Ah.
He looks exactly like...
Billy Idol?
No, he doesn't look like Billy Idol anymore. He looks like Scott Dawson.
Shaved head.
Bald and that mustache gimmick.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I just like that.
Now he can be Tox. Scott's spelled backwards.
I see.
It's his new gimmick.
I just like that ECW had a guy with signs because they were struggling to make money just to stay alive every show. They said, let's go to the drugstore and get some poster boards and a Sharpie and make signs. WCW was owned by Turner Broadcasting.
Right.
They did the same thing.
They could have had like an LED sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have come out with 6 TVs. Each TV would have a different sign on it.
They're supposed to be the flock, geek.
Yeah,
A
but
bunch
still.
of down-and-out numbskulls under Raven's control.
How did they have money for poster board?
And Raven's out there going, I got this idea, Lodi. We're going to get a neon flashing sign
You know
for
what
you to
has
hold up.
you know what has occurred to me about this conversation? None of this really makes any sense
Of course not.
when you break it down.
It goes back to my first question. Why is a fake Billy Idol running around with signs?
I don't have an answer.
I look at all these gimmicks and I'm like, why? Who? What?
Who's Steve Stevenson in this equation?
I don't know who Steve Stevenson is.
He's a guitar player for Billy Idol.
I still don't know who Steve Stevenson is.
So J.J. Dillon comes back out to continue the same damn angle they did an hour earlier.
Yeah.
Because the show's 3 hours long. And this time, it's all about who is going to referee their match at Starrcade. Eric Bischoff does not want a fat ref
No.
because he's too damn fast. He wants Kevin Nash.
I don't want a fat ref. He says, I want a tall ref.
Yeah.
You can see everything.
I want a guy who's really tall.
And
no, here's
barely
the thing.
mobile.
He doesn't want a fat guy because a fat guy's too slow.
Right.
But he wants Kevin Nash who's had 16 knee surgeries so far.
And he
can't even get down and up off the
bend.
mat. So finally, JJ says, I'll pick an NWO guy. And Bischoff is all excited. And so, this actually made sense. It's Bret Hart. This was Bret Hart's debut because Eric Bischoff has claimed that Bret Hart is a member of the NWO.
Mm-hmm.
So Bret Hart comes out, WCW debut. Bischoff's very happy to see him. He is much happier, in fact, than Bret Hart, who looked very uncomfortable throughout this entire segment.
I noticed that as well.
Just first day at a new job is always a little weird. Says it's great to be in Ric Flair country. I will be honored to be the referee for this match. Bischoff jumps in. He's bragging about signing Bret, how great they're going to be together. But is sure to point out several times throughout the segment that Bret's making $7.5 million of Ted Turner's money. And he stops and jumps away and is pumping his fists and dancing. And Bret just says, barely into the mic, he's very happy. So he warns Bischoff, do what you can, win if you can, but don't look to me for help. Nobody knows better than me what it's like to be screwed by a ref. So you're on your own, Jack. Bischoff says, Bret, $7.5 million, weekends off. And everyone looks at each other for a while. Then it ends.
You know, I was so sad when I watched this because you could already see what the finish was for Hogan and Sting at Starrcade.
Right.
And it was really a great finish.
It sure would have been.
Sting, well, there was a bigger problem in the sense that Sting should have come in and just obliterated Hulk Hogan for like 10 straight minutes.
Yeah.
And finally, there would be like 9 million run-ins and something would happen and Sting would get screwed with a super fast count.
Yeah.
And then Bret Hart comes out and says, God damn it, there's not going to be a screw job here. I'm restarting this match. Not only was there not a fast count, but Hulk Hogan beat up Sting for 10 minutes before he pinned him.
Uh-huh.
And it's so painful to me because it would have been so awesome
Yes.
if they would have just done what they were building up to do in storyline. Blows my mind.
NWO video running down Lex Luger. Gene then brings Luger out for a promo, but instead it's Buff Bagwell. So Buff does this promo. He is interviewing or imitating Lex Luger's voice, which is hard to do because it's not like there's any great distinctive tone to Lex's voice, but I can tell he was trying. And Lex comes out to put a stop to this. Buff does not back down and says, Lex, you can't beat me. And Lex says, Buff, you've been celebrating your countout and DQ wins. I'm challenging you to a match tonight. And Buff says, you don't have a ref. And Lex says, I've got Nick Patrick. Buff says, well, I'm not warmed up. And Lex says, let's see if I can warm you up, and slaps him across the face. And now Buff's warmed up and ready to go. This was a lot of fun.
Not only that, but Luger was so over.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been years. Every time this guy comes out, he's the most over guy on the show. Just blows my mind.
So they had a 2-minute match. Then there was interference. Lex clotheslines Buff over the top, which is a DQ, so Buff wins again. This was terribly, terribly, terribly lame, but at least you can see it's leading to something.
They haven't done
Dude, it's
the
December 97, and we have an over-the-top rope DQ.
They haven't done one ever, I don't think, on Nitro. Since we've been watching it, I don't think they ever did an over-the-top disqualification. And just for no reason,
No,
they did one here.
They've had a guy go over the top rope and then talked about the referee's discretion as they try to cover up for the fact that they've forgotten that that's
Okay.
a rule. But now all of a sudden they decided it was a rule again.
Exactly.
This is bullshit.
Exactly.
Had an NWO video burying DDP. Kurt Hennig came out for a promo. At this point, I realized I have heard the NWO theme song no less than 500 times on this show. He addresses... Kurt's in the ring. I forgot about this until right now. He's got his mic. He's got his belt. And he's cutting this promo saying, nothing. This is Ric Flair country. I am the U.S. champ. Take on any challenger in the crowd. And then we'll go all night and go a little longer. And he starts ripping off Flair's catchphrases. And I realize he is looking directly, making eye contact with somebody at ringside, and this somebody's job it is to tell him, okay, we've killed enough time, you can shut up now. Until then, he's just got to go. And so he just goes on and on, saying nothing. He has so much time to fill here.
You know what was weird about this was, first off, this was a great example of, we don't need 3 hours here.
No.
We need 2. He's rambling, and 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 he's rambling. And Flair finally comes out, and the match goes 10 seconds.
I timed it 17.
17.
Bell to bell.
And at first I thought, you know, as much as it was bullshit for the guy to ramble for so long and kill so much time, I mean, they are supposed to be wrestling at Starrcade, so I guess it's kind of good that he rambled and we didn't get anything resembling a match. Now it makes you want to pay to see them have a match. But as it turns out, the reason they went 17 seconds was Flair's got a bad ankle. And not only does he have a bad ankle, at this point, they're not even sure he's going to be ready for Starrcade. And they're still building up a match between Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair for Starrcade that may not even happen. That's why they had to carry him out afterwards.
So, there was 8 guys out there fighting, beating up Ric Flair. And DDP and the Steiners and Luger come out to make the save. And they carry him to the back. DDP cuts a promo calling out Hennig. We get the NWO music again. 2 more fans at the ring. One of them gets yanked out by the ring announcer. Mm-hmm. The other got tackled essentially by Randy Anderson.
Randy Anderson, the guy was going to escape, and Randy Anderson pulled him back into the ring and put a chokehold on him.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
My favorite thing in wrestling, I think, ever is wrestlers and referees and ring announcers beating up fans.
Absolutely.
What I love about it is sometimes a fan hits the ring and the wrestler will just kind of be confused and sort of just look at him while security takes him away. And then sometimes you'll get the wrestler who really wants to put the boots to him. Mm-hmm. That was Conan here.
Yeah,
It took a long time for Conan to see that there was a guy in the ring. Like, the guy's being carted away, and I don't know what Conan's doing. But all of a sudden, Conan turns and he sees the guy.
Yeah.
And you just see him. He, like, gets so excited, and he starts moving right at the guy, but the guy is being taken away.
Like a dog with a steak.
Oh, man, he wanted to put the boots to this guy.
There was a few months back an NWO segment where a fan hit the ring, and Randy Savage was there, and Kevin Nash, I believe, saved this man's life by putting an arm on Savage's shoulder and said, stay here. They've got him. You'll go to jail. It's not worth it. Now, amidst all this all started with a long Kurt Hennig promo, a 17-second match, a brawl, and this Page promo. Now Hulk Hogan comes back out, at which point Tony Schiavone said the exact words, which I am not making up. This has become a real draining 3 hours.
Dude, this show.
Page flees through the crowd. I'm thinking, what in the hell are they going to do? I look down at the little thing. There's still 4 minutes of TV time to go. What can possibly happen? Hogan runs his mouth for a while. Calls Sting a coward. Lights go out. There's a spotlight on Sting on the rafters. Spotlight goes out. House lights come up. And now security is going after more fans. Lights go out again. Come back up again. Sting is on top of the logo on the stage. Hogan calls him a coward. The thing ends. Sting has descended from the stage, or the logo. He is walking down the ramp, and the show just ends.
Mercifully.
Oh my God. That last hour.
I don't want to be
I may never be the same.
Broken record here, but this show was exactly like a modern day Raw. Too long.
I don't know Michael Cole.
Too much filler.
No Kevin Dunn.
Would have been way better at 2 hours. Nobody ever learns a goddamn thing in this business. WCW was 3 hours for 3 years. And they went from the top of the world to out of business in that period of time. Nobody thought about that when they moved Raw to 3 hours. And granted, Raw has done a better job with 3 hours than Nitro did, because they've lasted 4 years without going out of business. But oh my God, a wrestling show does not need to be 3 hours long. Vinny, you watch football?
Sure do.
Okay. I'm not a sports guy, but I know Vinny will back me up here. So I know that people are going to say, Brian, UFC shows can be 6 hours long. And football games every Sunday are like 3 hours long, right? 3 hours long?
On average, college is close to 4.
Okay, 4 hours. So, correct me if I'm wrong. There's 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Each quarter is 15 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
right?
Yeah.
That's on the clock.
Yes.
Okay, that's 60 minutes. Somehow this gets stretched over 3 to 4 hours, right?
Yes.
There's half an hour of halftime.
Because there's halftime, the clock stops, people get in position, they film the guy who's throwing his papers down or whatever. Like, there's a lot of downtime in a 3-hour football game.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Or any sport.
Yes.
You watch a UFC, there's 9 million video packages. There's the ring introductions. There's commercials. These fucking wrestling shows, especially, it's one thing during the Monday Night Wars, but today when there's no competition, Raw is just segment after segment after segment after segment after segment. There's no downtime. This 3 hours of Raw is not like 3 hours of a football game. It's not like 3 hours of a basketball game or a baseball game.
Yeah.
It's 3 hours of nonstop stuff. It's a killer.
It also helps that in the end, there's going to be a victor. One team's going to be
Yes.
beaten, and the other team's going to win.
Those 3 hours, they are leading to something. But yes, it would be different if the matches on a 3-hour show, if they were going and they were good matches, 15 or 20 minutes. Because you'd have, in a long match like that, you'll have time to breathe. It's not 2-minute entrance, 2-minute entrance, 3-minute match, 2-minute promo, gone. It's not 4 different things crammed into one segment.
No.
Just do one match.
There's time to crack open a beer and talk to your buddies and go make something to eat. You can't do that with these 3-hour wrestling shows.
If you, for example, are watching any sporting event and it's the second quarter, you say, hey, you know what? I got a big load of laundry to fold.
Yep.
And you start going through your laundry, and it takes a half hour, and you kind of half-watch the game out of the corner of your eye. They'll recap you on everything that's going on. You won't feel like you've...
You miss 9 things if you leave Raw for 15 minutes.
Yes.
Anyway, that's enough ranting. We're out of here, everybody. Don't forget, if you want to send gifts for the Christmas show, P.O. Box 426, Woodinville, Washington at 98072. They're flooding in. You can also... We still have autographed books available, Death of WCW. I only have paperback original editions left, but the Whale Scout fundraiser is still going, whalescout.org. Check that out. And don't forget, Observer Live today with Jim Ross broke the news. The Tokyo Dome show is going to air on Access over 4 weeks in January. A lot of great stuff, so check it out, everybody. That's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Bye.